What's up, everybody? It's another guy on the internet telling you how to play D&D because that's what our country needs right now. Today I want to talk about the bad guy speech and how I think that it should be used all the time in D&D because I think that it rocks and I just love bad guy speeches, and I think that you'll see that in the next little bit here. First of all, this is going to seem like it is advice to DMs. More than anything, it's actually advice to players. And I'll kind of explain that in a little bit. But basically, first of all, I want to talk about the bad guy speech and what it is and why it's important. So, bad guy speech is used in tons of different forms of media. It's kind of a trope where the storyteller reveals hidden pieces of the puzzle to the audience via the bad guy explaining their master plan, explaining how smart they are, their motivation, what made them a villain, why they're doing this thing now. And it offers the audience an opportunity to kind of get the pieces of information that connect the dots of everything that they already had. As well as the hero has this opportunity to kind of start to fully understand what's going on. Excuse me. Now, the bad guy speech has always been criticized for basically being unrealistic. Like, why are the heroes letting this happen? Why aren't they just attacking? Why is the bad guy just totally showing all of their cards right now? This does not help them achieve their goals at all. And while, yeah, that's all true, my response is, shut up. It's cool. A reason that the bad guy speech works is that it turns the hero, the protagonist, into the audience surrogate. If you're unfamiliar with what an audience surrogate is, basically it is a character in a work of art who does not have access to the information that the audience also does not have access to. Oh, there's got to be a better way to say that. It's a character who only has access to the information that the audience has access to, and they have the same questions as the audience. This gives the storyteller a way to basically reveal information to the audience through revealing it to the character. The character might ask questions that the audience has, and those answers are for the hero as well as the audience. This also helps the audience empathize with the hero by basically giving them the exact same experience of learning this information for the first time. That way, the audience can feel the feelings that the character feels at that time. Now, in D&D, it's interesting because the audience and the characters are the same people. They share the same brain, which means that at all times, by default, you are playing the audience surrogate. Now, as audience, that doesn't really mean anything. That just kind of means, okay, let's sit here and let the DM share this story with us, which is fine. However, the audience surrogate character has a responsibility to uncover that information. They have a responsibility to ask the right questions, ask the questions that the audience has to reveal that within the frame of the story. Players have a responsibility to uncover the information that is just below the surface as their characters, so that the players themselves can have access to that information. By letting the bad guy speech happen, you are being a good audience surrogate. And maybe even by interjecting and asking questions and guiding the bad guy speech into the direction that you want to get that information is super, super helpful. However, the biggest complaint that people have with the bad guy speech is that it's not realistic. They would say, why isn't the character just using this opportunity to strike? And I'll explain why. Imagine you and your party enter a dimly lit throne room. The king, who has been your patron and your quest giver for the entire campaign up to this point, is dead on the floor, and his advisor stands over him with a bloody dagger in her hand. She turns, looks at all of your party, licks the blade clean because she's nasty, smiles and says, "I would say I'm sorry to do this, but I've lied enough for one lifetime. Thank you all for your help along the way. I truly could not have done this without you. It's time to usher in a new reality. The ritual has begun." You've never heard anything about a ritual. You have never had any indication that this advisor has been up to anything shady. You don't know if she's operating on her own or if maybe she's partnered with one of the evil organizations you've interacted with up to this point. You don't even know if maybe it's justified. Maybe she's got a totally good reason for this and she's actually in the right. Fingers crossed. Probably that's not it, but it might be. You don't know that. All that you know is that she doesn't seem like she's immediately attacking you. She seems maybe arrogant enough to open up a dialogue here and give you an opportunity to learn more. Right as all of these questions are building up in your brain, your ranger steps forward, draws his bow, shoots her in the throat, and initiates combat. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, technically, within the rules of D&D. However, best case scenario, by initiating combat immediately, like if we're talking 2024 rules, you are giving this advisor disadvantage on her initiative rolls if you've surprised her. Which, by the way, the DM would have to be pretty lenient to even give you a surprise on this anyway. But if you do, that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you start this fight and you don't get any of the information that she has for you. Maybe she escapes and you're not even able to speak with Dead after the fight. She just totally gets away and you're back to square one. There are ways forward from here. You can go and chase her down. You can go and find out more about this ritual, but the information was right there. You had the opportunity to get it and you didn't because your party attacked. The defense for this, by the way, is always going to be, well, that's what my character would have done. I wouldn't just sat there and listen to her yap. Which, honestly, yeah, sure, that's fine. However, I think that players, as well as DMs, have a responsibility to suspend realism for the sake of good storytelling. Clearly, there was a moment there, and it could have been really, really awesome, and instead the combat was kind of devalued as well because the tension didn't increase by more reveals of information. If you learned more about this ritual and more about her goals and her motivations and what she's doing, that combat is going to feel more important as well. And then second of all, it's just kind of nice to the DM. I might be biased here because I'm a DM, but if it's clear that your DM has prepared something and they're excited to share it and there's no reason for it not to be shared, let that moment happen, you know? By the way, if you're a forever player and have never DM'd, and you disagree with this, you know where to go. I mean the comments, not hell. Just go to the comments. From where I'm standing, you're clearly sacrificing a cool story moment just because my character would attack right now, which I feel like is kind of lame. And also, it undercuts really cool opportunities for development in the story. Imagine it's reversed. Imagine that you have been playing a character who's been very secretive with their backstory. Now, 10, 15, 20 sessions in, you've decided that it's finally time to share your backstory. You look around at all of these characters around the campfire with you and you realize that you found a family, you found a home in them, and that no matter what you've done in your past, they know who you really are and they will accept you either way. And so now you can finally tell them what you've never told anyone before. And just as you start to reveal this painful, tragic backstory, the DM asks you all to roll a dexterity saving throw and you all get hit by a fireball. The bad guys that you had been running from were just out of view in the trees, and they waited for your guard to fall, and they took the perfect opportunity to strike. Now, potentially, that's the most realistic thing that could have happened. Nobody said that they were watching out for anything. Nobody had clearly dictated that. And all of you were sitting around a campfire with your guard down, so this is when they would attack. Just because it's realistic doesn't mean that it's good. I think that's the thesis of this video. Just because it's realistic doesn't mean that it's good. Clearly, this was a moment for your character to show the rest of the party what's actually going on. Reveal missing pieces of the puzzle to help understanding grow and help move the story forward. The story is going to be totally different after this moment because the characters are not going to be able to interact the same way that they were interacting before. And by just cutting off that moment, you're sacrificing one of those story reveals that you could be thinking about weeks, months in the future. So I guess what I'm saying is, let the bad guy give a speech. That's the title of the video, but really at the core of it, it's recognize storytelling moments and allow those moments to happen. Not everything needs to be realistic all the time. It's D&D. There are people that are also dragons and people that are shooting fire and force out of their hands. Grounded in realism is great. However, at times, just let the story happen and find ways to push the story forward. I'd love to hear if anyone disagrees with me or if anyone agrees with me, or if anyone has any connections to the company Darigold. I would love to be sponsored by them. In the end, I'm saying that D&D is a game for telling stories. And I think that all of us should look for any and every opportunity that we can to tell the best story possible. Thanks for watching.